Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Thursday. LSU Odyssey here. I know um, many of you saw the breaking news just a few hours ago. Bo Davis leaving LSU after just one season. LSU lose Bo Davis after just one season. Um, and he's not going too far. He's going right there to New Orleans to coach the New Orleans Saints defensive line there with Kellen Moore's new staff. So Bo Davis, just 1 year at LSU. We spent how many years trying to get this guy to come home, to stay, to come back to the. Oh, hey, what's up, Carl? Carl just hit me up. We got Carl the cat messaging me. What's up, Carl the cat? We got Bo Davis finally to come back to LSU after Kelly wanted it. Wanted him. I'm sure Coach O wanted him at some points. He'd always been right there, Saban's right hand man, and he goes all over the place. Of course, Alabama, Detroit Lions. He goes to the NFL. So he had seen both sides, the NFL and the college game. He may have enjoyed recruiting under Nick Saban, winning national championships under Nick Saban in that era, being a part of the LSU staff with Nick Saban. He even went to Miami with Saban. I mean, Bo Davis was always there with Nick Saban, but then I am told the reason Bo Davis has gone and taken this job with the Saints isn't because the Saints offered more money. Obviously, the Saints did offer more money, but that wasn't the main thing for him that was like, I do want to get out of the college game. It's the whole change in the recruiting culture in the current college football landscape, where it's money first, no loyalty. He had seen some guys, commit, decommit, go back on their commitments to him, which was rare. He usually sealed these signings in, but he had dealt with that more than he could handle, and he was done with the college game for now. When the Saints offered him that, it just seemed enticing, and to not have to deal with that and start this NFL project with some great D-line pieces to work with in New Orleans as well, young and veteran. So it's, my people about a few weeks ago were telling me, even though there's some juice with Kellen Moore coming down here, and we were told Garrett Nussmeier's father would, of course, follow him, like a lot of people expected Doug Nussmeier to follow him. But as far as, poaching LSU coaches, I was told, they're going after, Hankton, Brad Davis, Bo Davis, but these guys are rebuffing those offers. Those guys are saying, no, we're fine at LSU. Well, that changed rather quickly. When you're talking about Bo Davis just saying, I've had enough of this shit. And, the D-line job, man, it's been incredible for LSU. For the sixth time in the last 5 years, LSU will hire another defensive line coach. Another. And, Bill Johnson, the D-line coach for the 2019 team and during that 2020 COVID disaster year, the replacement for Dennis Meatball Johnson, Bill Johnson, he's the last D-line coach at LSU who lasted more than a single season. That's insane. That's madness. Here's the list. since 2015, Coach O was the D-line coach. Then in 2016, 2017, you had back-to-back Pete Jenkins. 2018, Meatball. 2019, Meatball would have been there, and Meatball was still part of the staff, but he had I think he tore his knee up or something, where he was under some extreme. He was in an extreme injury, had an extreme injury to his leg or knee or something, and was having surgeries and all sorts of medical mishaps during that time. And so I think maybe even both legs operated on Dennis Meatball Johnson, but still part of the staff. But it was more Bill Johnson who took it over for 2019 and 2020. But then 2021, Andre Carter, and then he's gone. 1 year. 2022, Jamar Cain, he's in there, and then boom, to Denver, 1 year, boom. Sean Payton poaches him as well. 2023, Jimmy Lindsey, you hire him, and this is the more interesting one, because Jimmy Lindsey, you don't know how well he would have been able to do. You can't really just discount him, and that defense was terrible. He wouldn't have done anything. I don't know. Maybe Jimmy Lindsey could have turned that defensive line around. He had the pieces to work with. Wingo, Mason Smith was kind of coming into his own with just getting game fitness, really, and just kind of not really looking too impressive. I think maybe Jimmy Lindsey could have coached him out of that and could have given him some more confidence than, of course, that he was getting. And so you have Jimmy Lindsey hired, but then he goes down with a health scare. I won't get into what that health scare is, but it's a miracle that Jimmy Lindsey not only is alive, but he just coached a great season this last year at North Carolina. His defensive lines put up some fantastic numbers. But Jimmy Lindsey goes down with that health scare right there on the cusp of fall camp. And so they have to pull in John Jancic as the D-line coach. So you had basically you had three in 2023, because you also had Gerald Chapman, who coached the Tigers D-line through spring. And then 2024, you finally get that man. You finally go get Bo Davis, and you felt like the D-line, we don't even have to worry about it. Even if we don't have numbers, even if we're thin, Bo Davis he'll coach him up and he'll bridge those gaps. And no. It didn't work out like that, because Bo Davis, even though he coached him up, even though he did his damnedest to provide recruiting, powerhouses, an established development plan that actually works for guys, gets guys to the NFL, all that was great with Bo Davis, but you always knew he's going to coach him up. He's going to deliver. He's going to be the best D-line coach in the game. He's going to produce that type of culture with the D-line.
Go ahead.
Problem is,
what the hell is this? Yes.
God. Problem is, you always knew he was going to go. You always knew Bo Davis had a clock on him, a very quickly expiring clock. And you knew he was so in demand. And just, you go to LSU, you have all this high-profile success, all these eyes on you, and you can't help but understand that, yes, everyone has respect, but it always seems like everyone's just like, yeah, but then we poach you for what you're going to do next after LSU. And that, you can't get married to these coaches. I'm just saying it, these assistant coaches. I mean, we're lucky LSU has, going into their fourth year with Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton, Brad Davis, for 3 going on 4 years now. That's incredible just right there, just to keep Brad Davis that long. This will be Brad Davis's 4th, 5th year at LSU. He's been 2021, 2022. Yeah. He's been there quite longer than I expected. Brad Davis, Bo Davis. You always knew we're going to only be able to get him for 2-3 years here. And it was just 1 year. And it took just the Saints hiring a new guy, having some juice, and boom, he's out of there. That sucks, man. And it's good to see that Lamar Brown, our number one defensive line recruit for the next class, that just said publicly, like, I am still committed to LSU. This means nothing for my commitment. Like, that's big time. But what does this do to the current team? Our guys, especially the younger guys, going to be jumping into the portal with Bo Davis leaving. Because here's the thing: some of these guys, Dominic McKinley, Ahmad Bro, they didn't necessarily like commit to LSU, signed to LSU to go play for Bo Davis, because they committed before Bo Davis was even like an idea or hired. So, I'm not saying they should have expected LSU to lose people nonstop. Jesus Christ. But Bo Davis, you always knew he was going to be. There was always going to be limitations to how long he was going to be there. You always knew it. I think if you were under illusions there with that, then there's some things that you're maybe a little naive about, because this is the current game here. This is the current landscape. This is the typical lifespan for a football coach, an assistant football coach. It's the Bo Davises or Slade Nagel, one and done. That's the typical thing that we're seeing with the lifespan of a football coach now. But head coach is a whole different thing. But there's some interesting candidates that I really want to get into, because I think the pieces for one of these candidates to really not only be a legitimate candidate, but really, like, this just makes sense. And all of my sources are kind of like saying, this is what we're hearing. This is what we're hearing. It's going in this direction. There's a reason Eric Henderson's name is being thrown out there as a replacement for Bo Davis. Eric Henderson, New Orleans native, had such great success at USC this last year. You saw that up close and personal in week 1. His defensive line were eating it up. The dude also won a Super Bowl with the Rams at one point. Brilliant defensive line coordinator and front coach, Eric Henderson. You saw what they did to Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. You saw what they did to Garrett Nussmeier. And USC was a terrible team for the most part of this last year, but they were beating it up. Eric Henderson makes sense to be that replacement. And I've also heard that Kyle Williams, who, he just resigned from Ruston. Could he be joining Henderson's, staff? Former LSU defensive tackle legend Kyle Williams. That could be interesting. But Eric Henderson, there's a reason you're hearing his name, and it's because he's the right man for the job, I think. Incredible success wherever he's gone. Subpar USC squad. He's fantastic. 1 second. Sorry, my bosses had a huge thing of food and I wanted to hold the door open for them. You know, that would have looked really bad, me just sitting here ranting about LSU while they're struggling to hold all this stuff. Like, yeah, I'm gonna put the phone down and go open the door for them until hopefully we get some investment and we can start this for real. Doing LSU as our day job nonstop, 24/7. Then sadly we'll have to deal with interruptions like that. But that's why we do security. You get a lot of free time, and that's why we're able to pursue this. Any other job would just give me a shit ton of busy work and all this annoying stuff that would get in the way of covering stuff like this. So I'm blessed in the situation I'm in. I'm blessed to have been smart enough to realize, do security, just get some promotions, do your job well, show that you're reliable, but then also use it to cover LSU as much as you possibly can, and that's what we've done. So thank you for joining us. We're literally here at work covering this because, I mean, no one expected this. I heard that there was going to be something going on. There was going to be some breaking news story, and I was like, well, what is it? And this person was like, just basically sworn to secrecy. Sorry about that. That's a very loud Asian woman right there. Holy crap. That Asian woman was very loud. Like, my ear hurts after that. The door! Like, oh my God. Whew. She brought a lot of food with her. I don't know how they fit that much food in that little Asian car. Like, that is insane. A little Asian car. I guess it would be because it's a Honda. So, um, Eric Henderson makes sense for the job. And it's not only just because of all the, location, his history, pedigree, all that stuff. Like, he checks every single box. Pop says bring home coach Eric Henderson from USC and also hire coach BT Jordan as a pass rush coach. Both are from Louisiana and are top quality coaches. I'm also hearing even Rick Haley or Coach O, bring Coach O back. We're hearing it all right now. Gerald Chapman is a name that I like. This is a guy who was awesome at Tulane. He was fantastic for Florida. You could even give Jimmy Lindsay a second shot, and I wouldn't really be upset with that choice. I think it would be like, let's see what happens, but the D-line position, the D-line coach, this position has to be filled with the right guy for the job. Like, it has to be a powerhouse hire right here, a home run hire. You don't need to get the best guy or whatever, the highest paid guy. This is going to save LSU a lot of money with Bo Davis leaving. That's for one thing. That's for damn sure. But losing him, you're going to lose one hell of a coach, one hell of a recruiter. I know he's had some people question him and question his pedigree lately, but I think those are really stupid, just dumbfounding, just typical critics where they just have to criticize something. You got to criticize something. You got to be negative about something. You got to, never be satisfied about anything. Bo Davis, you get the best defensive line coach in the country, and you're still not satisfied. You're still shit talking. Like, no wonder he left, after 1 year. Obviously, we know he left because he just can't stand the current college football landscape. New Orleans are offering him a ton of money. He doesn't have to leave his home state where he came to be back home with his parents. He doesn't have to leave too far, so it's a great win for him. Bo Davis, this is fantastic for him. Carl the Cat.
Carl the Cat Dunn says, glad to know that. Glad it wasn't a personal problem. Oh, meaning about Bo Davis leaving. Once again, NIL takes out another great coach. Yeah, man, you've seen a lot of great coaches leave. Jim Larinaga, Saban, of course. I mean, Krzyzewski. A lot of Roy Williams, a lot in basketball. You're seeing basketball coaches, some of that old guard, like, I've got 2 titles, I got 3 titles, I got maybe even just 1 or 2, but I've kind of hit that mountaintop. I've been at this for 40 years. Like, this is just going to a realm beyond. Especially in basketball, where, let's be real here. The players are lazier. The players have more time on their hands. Fouls are literally a guy breathing on you now. In basketball, the culture of the NIL student athlete for a basketball coach, especially an old school basketball coach, must be really hard to take. Some of the lackadaisical, just kind of like superstar celebrity status kind of thing. And that's the way college football is going. And college football, though, has way more built-in resistance against that, because football by nature is more of a team first ethos. And if you betray that, usually your team is not successful. So you can't have like a superstar kingmaker mentality unless that king is like the quarterback, the guy with the ball in the hands the most. But you won't have one guy like taking over the team and being like a tyrant like you possibly could in basketball. It's just a sport that's not built for that. There's so much resistance against that just from the culture standpoint as well. But I think you're seeing college football go into that direction where it's just money first, celebrity first, how many followers you have first, and then we'll see what you can do on the football field. And oh crap, we found out we've made a $10 million gamble on this receiver, and he's a 5-star. He got all the rankings. How did he get rated that high? Did anyone actually watch the tape? All of these things. Money can buy you rankings nowadays. Money can buy you your way up the ladder. That's crazy to me. Because ultimately, at the top of the ladder, if I'm at the top of the ladder, I want the best of the best alongside me. So why would I want to thank you for giving me your money. Now I know that you're a shitty person who's incapable of doing your job because you had to pay to get to this level. Now I'm going to hire you. You want mediocrity like that around you? Yeah, it might be rich mediocrity, but still mediocrity. We might have to go in just a second, guys. Matt Williams says the turnover at a position that was once our strongest is just crazy. It simply is. You saw what we just put up with the D-line coaching turnover. It's just insane, man. It's just insane. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the last time we had a D-line coach even stayed for more than one season. Matt Williams says, Jimmy Lindsey was just a Matt House casualty. The fans wanted everyone on that side gone. He really was. He really was. And Brian Kelly kept him off the field, off the sidelines to protect his health, because even though he had recovered, and that's why you saw him, coach some games from the booth for a few games, what he had suffered, once he publicly addresses that and reveals that, you'll understand why Brian Kelly was very smart, very very good about how he watched out for Kelly, how Kelly watched out for Lindsey, and that's a side of Brian Kelly that people just don't show or talk about. But he literally protected Jimmy Lindsey from himself, because Lindsey wanted to go out there and coach, and he was like, "I'm good, man, I'm good," but and he's gung ho, and he wanted that job bad. He wanted to coach that room desperately because, Wingo, Mason Smith, he knew how good those guys were, and he wanted to see those guys at their maximum. Sadly, he wasn't able to do it. I really hope at some point something aligns where Jimmy Lindsey gets a second chance to coach at LSU, because he loved Baton Rouge, and I got a great chance to know Jimmy Lindsey. In fact, we asked him if LSU had communicated with him today, and he said no, not yet. But he was just the mention of something like that even happening made him extremely excited. Like, he was like, dude, man, I'd love to go back. Like, man loves LSU. Carl Dunn says, at least we didn't lose Bo Davis to another SEC school. I know. If we had lost Davis to somewhere else like Alabama, he goes back to Alabama, goes back to Texas. Oh my God. I wouldn't have been able to see that happen. I think the LSU job he took to be close to family, but also he wanted to be the D-line coach at LSU. Wanted to come back to Louisiana. Going to be the coach of the Saints, D-line coach of the Saints, doesn't really change much for what he was originally taking the LSU job for. He's still going to be right there with his parents, and still right there in that geographical location. So it's a massive win for him. He's not going to have to deal with the insanity of the current college football landscape. The nonstop boom, 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 staying, going, blah, 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 portal. You're trying to manage the transfer portal. Not, recruit your own current team from leaving, while recruiting guys to come from the portal onto your team, trying to steal them from other teams, while at the same time trying to nail down the top, at least a top 5, or the fans are going to scream, recruiting class each and every single year. All at the same time in December, all of these things converge while you're trying to compete for a conference championship. It's a little insane. Carl Dunn says that would be great to get both of them. I think he's meaning in reference to Eric Henderson and Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams, we are hearing, resigned from his D-line coaching position at Ruston, or I'm not sure exactly if his position is even higher than that, but D-line coach at least at Ruston. Kyle Williams, former LSU DT legend, has resigned at Ruston High, so he could potentially, I don't think be the D-line coach, but maybe in the running there, assistant to the D-line coach, I could see him being right in that position. Eric Henderson's assistant, yeah. So Eric Henderson is the front runner for sure. I see him taking that job if LSU offer him that job, and we're close to finding out 100% for sure what direction LSU are going in. I think we've got it figured out, but I'm not ready to report things 100%. But I love what I'm hearing when I'm talking to people about Eric Henderson. What I'm hearing is that this is a guy where things are starting to align and things are just starting to make sense. And these patterns over the years that I've done this job, when the pattern starts to fit, things start to happen in that direction. Usually, more likely than not. I think it's been maybe 1 out of every 25 times when things like that have made sense from sources, or just looking at it from the puzzle piece standpoint, just 10,000 feet before I even talk to a source. And it's like, ooh, that makes sense. Let's go ask some questions to some people. Is this going on? Is this maybe a possibility? Are you talking to him? Is he willing to take that job? Is he willing to leave this year? All of that stuff. We try and ask the questions. We try and get the news for you guys. I'm actually pissed off that we didn't break this one about Bo Davis. We should have. Congrats to Luke Johnson. I'm not sure what place he writes for, but I know he covers the Saints. Luke Johnson broke this story about Bo Davis leaving LSU. There's also, Kevin Peoples could be a candidate. Kevin Peoples could just take over the entire defensive line. from a coaching standpoint, and I think that might make sense. You do want him to specialize in the edge rushing, and that's going to be his hands-on, responsibilities. But he could take over both titles. I don't know. I'm kind of sick of LSU staffs doing that because it doesn't help us and it doesn't help those defensive tackles and maybe more interior defensive linemen, defensive ends get better. You got to have it specialized. So I mean, LSU have some really good candidates. I like Eric Henderson a lot. I like Gerald Chapman. Coach O could come in and actually be interesting at this job, but you never are going to see Brian Kelly bring in a former head coach to come in, former LSU head coach who won a national championship there with a perfect team, come in to coach underneath him. That's never going to happen. There would be way too many egos being bruised. There'd be way too many weird, awkward moments, and no matter how mature they could possibly claim to be, head coaches, best-selling writers, artists of any sort, we have the thickest skin, but then we also have the thinnest, and it's because we pay attention to every little damn thing, and we can't stop. And there's people who, coaches are so paranoid. And so they're going to try and screw us over this way. Like, it's very interesting to me. You would never see Brian Kelly hiring Coach Ed Orgeron. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. So I think we can just take that name to the side and just move forward and just worry about the other candidates. I think you got to look at Eric Henderson the most here. Brett, what's up, brother? How you doing? Brett says, I think the biggest disappointment is we were just hoping for some stability with a good staff. That's the thing, man. When you see LSU have just stability with assistant coaches for just 2-3 years, usually there's a championship that follows. Just talking at a minimum 2-3 years. It usually just doesn't happen. See, I love this because from my vantage point, I can see everything still. I can see the cameras and everything, so I can still do my job while talking to you guys. So it's great. But everybody's coming. They're about to go through the metal detectors. So just give me a brief minute of intermission. If you guys want me to stay on, I can come back. But either way, thank you all for watching. We're going to continue covering this for the rest of. Probably come on at some point, probably write some articles. So head to where, LSUODYSSEY.com. Support the site, guys. Support the site. If you like us, you prefer us over certain other people who love to get loud and talk shit and get angry and get pissed and make it all about themselves, instead of actually covering LSU, then you can continue to support those guys. But if you continue to do that, at some point, we're going to have to do something that keeps the lights on, keeps the electricity on. We have to be able to afford to do this. It costs almost $1,000 for us to be able to keep the site going for a full year, to pay Wix to do it. So support the site as much as you can. Share it, retweet it, subscribe. If you can't afford to subscribe, that's fine. But if you enjoy what we do, by all means, If you don't enjoy what we do, that's fine. I don't know why you'd be watching, but that's cool if you are. If you don't enjoy our stuff, but you're still watching, that's the type of stuff I do. I hate certain opinions or certain, viewpoints or even certain people. Not maybe not hate, but you know what I'm saying. We don't agree with them, and we despise maybe some of the things that they represent, but we will still totally watch and listen to what a lot of them have to say, just because. But still, anyway, if support us, if you really prefer our stuff, if you really like our stuff, then actually support us, because right now money's tight, and I'm not sure if we can be able to afford to go down there and cover spring training, because Chelsea had a big opportunity where she's going to have to not only go to St. Louis, where she's at right now, just left last night. She's going to have to go to St. Louis for a few days, and then she's going to have to go to Texas in late April. She's going to have to go to two of these trips. So, we kind of knew. She kind of told me, like, listen, I don't know, like, if I take these opportunities, it's going to mean maybe you can't go to spring, like, money wise. And I was like, hey, you know what? Like, I've had some of these trips. I've had some of these opportunities. I've been to Atlanta. I've been to Vegas to see LSU. Been to Baton Rouge. How many times? Like, you need to take this opportunity, babe. You need to go for it. And so, like, I'm so proud of her. I'm so happy that she's doing this. And I have nothing but just like feeling that she's going to be successful in this, because this is her professional makeup career, where she's doing these crazy things with creating body casts and monster makeups that are like just the weirdest, craziest things, and the techniques they're using to make this stuff, how physically, like, some of the stuff they make is just nuts. I can't even explain some of the stuff she's doing, and the foam, the latex with all this stuff, and the makeups, and it's just nuts. But yeah, so yeah, money's been tight because of her pursuing those opportunities, and so maybe we're not going to be able to go to spring camp this season. We're trying to save as much money as we can to make it happen, though. But so if you can't afford it, and you say, like, you know what, I'm going to bet on lawn. Let's bet on lawn. Bet on us, because I'm guaranteeing you, if we could afford to actually be down there in Louisiana, we would provide the ultimate best LSU content you could find anywhere. And I feel like we try and do our damnedest, and sometimes we achieve that from Utah. But if we're able to travel down there more, we're able to make that happen a lot more. So if you want to help us make that mission happen, where we can be there in the boot full-time covering LSU, support LSUODYSSEY.com right there, LSUODYSSEY.com/subscribe. Follow us on X, Twitter at Lon Phillips, our Instagram, of course, at LSU Odyssey Lawn. We want to cover LSU, and we want to do it the best way possible. And if you think we can break news from Utah, if you think we have a talent for breaking news from Utah, I know we made some mistakes, but let's be real. The facts are the facts. Our breaking news has gone national like over 20, 30 times. That's just a fact. Put us in Louisiana, and we can really get to even more work on that. Trust me, times about 1,000. There would be really no shortage of the news scoops that we would have. It would be pretty much daily what we would be able to supply. It'd be pretty cool. I hope I'm able to start that venture at some point. I'm hoping we're all of this grinding will build to that. But there's some people who grind for 20 years before they're able to sow the seeds. So we'll be patient. I just love covering LSU. I have such a passion for this, because it's not just the team. It's the people. It's the culture. It's the vibe. It's the way it makes me feel. And just seeing that there's anyone who always feels that way as well, whether that's Carl the cat, Matt Williams or King Cole. I know you'll be watching this at some point. King Cole or Brett or Pops or Miss Peggy or Nurse Court. Love to all of you guys. Thank you for checking it out, giving us that chance. Matt Williams says, always put the family first, and trust me, everything else will work itself out. Well, yeah, man. I mean, she's stayed at home with Sage while I've gone on how many adventures to, cover the SEC championship, to cover spring, to cover fall, to cover this game, to cover that game, going to Vegas. She's sacrificed a lot for us, and she's gone on these trips here and there, but it hasn't been too often. So she really needed to take these opportunities over this next month. And so, Sage is at his grandparents right now, but I'll be watching him, just me and him, the next few days. So that'll be cool. Join us as we do a podcast called A Father's Nightmare. And it just shows Sage pounding me with some type of hammer in the head while I'm just laying there like, nah. Anyway, everybody, have a good one. We'll be talking soon. We're going to be writing something very soon here because we're starting to get a certain amount of information where I think we can run with something here. So just let me double check with something here, okay? Everybody, Carl the cat, my man. What's up, Carl? This is kind of crazy. We had to just kind of throw this together at work, but we had to do this. So thank you for indulging us, and thank you for dealing with some of the quick pauses and interruptions. And I really appreciate you guys. And the weekend is almost upon us. It's going to be a great weekend. I can just feel it. Peace. Go Tigers, baby.